Welcome to the Roy Morgan Weekly Update. I'm Julian McCrann, Manager of the Roy Morgan Poll, stepping in today for Roy Morgan CEO Michelle Levine, who is unavailable. There was plenty of important news last week, with the Coalition announcing a split, the first for the Liberal and National parties at a federal level since 1987, only to reconsider later in the week and appear to be on the verge of signing a new coalition agreement. However, as of today, no new agreement has yet been signed between the two parties. Just yesterday, the seat of Caldwell in Victoria was finally called for the ALP, giving the re-elected Albanese government an equal record 94 seats in the House of Representatives. Former Liberal Prime Minister John Howard also won 94 seats in 1996. There is still one seat outstanding, Bradfield in New South Wales, in which there are only a handful of votes between the Liberal candidate Gazelle Kaptarian and independent Nicolette Buller. And the seat, which is on a knife edge, has gone to an automatic recount. Earlier today, Tasmanian Senate results were computed, and one of Australia's most highly trusted politicians, and that's according to Roy Morgan's net trust rankings, Tasmanian Senator Jackie Lambie was re-elected. In addition, last week there were obviously devastating floods which hit New South Wales, impacting tens of thousands of Australians, leaving many homeless and sadly leading to the deaths of at least 5 people. The big news on the economic front was the Reserve Bank's decision to cut interest rates by 1/4 point to 3.85%, the RBA's second interest rate cut this year. Australian interest rates are now at their lowest for 2 years, although last week's cut has failed to have an immediate impact on consumer confidence. The latest ANZ Roy Morgan consumer confidence, based on interviews conducted last week, has fallen 1.8 points to 87. Although an increase in consumer confidence may have been expected by many, there are reasons that explain the decline. Around a third of interviews were conducted on Monday and Tuesday, before the RBA's decision had been made or was widely known about. In addition, the Big Four banks are yet to pass on the interest rate cut to home loan customers. The announcements by the Big Four last week indicate the cut will be passed through to home loan customers by Tuesday, June 3rd, next week, a full 2 weeks after the RBA's decision. For these reasons, we expect to see the impact of the RBA's decision impacting positively on consumer confidence over the next few weeks, rather than just last week. Analysis of consumer confidence by housing status shows Australia's housing market is split roughly equally between outright homeowners, people paying off their home, and renters, about a third in each group. The big mover this week, in the wrong direction, was homeowners. Consumer confidence for this group fell 4.8 points to 85.7 after the Reserve Bank's interest rate cut. There was also a fall in consumer confidence for this group after the Reserve Bank's previous cut to rates in February. Consumer confidence for renters was down slightly by 1.2 points to 87.1 this week. Unsurprisingly, there was a positive impact on people paying off their homes. Consumer confidence for this group increased 2.3 points to 89.7, and now the highest of the 3 housing groups. This group is especially sensitive to Reserve Bank decisions on interest rates, and we expect to see more positive momentum for this group as the banks pass through the interest rate cut over the next few weeks. The Reserve Bank next meets in early July, in 6 weeks' time. ANZ Roy Morgan inflation expectations were up 0.2% to 4.7% last week. Australians now expect inflation of 4.7% over each of the next 2 years, a figure in line with the long-term average of 4.8% for this measure over the last 15 years. And now to mortgage stress, an indicator closely tied to the Reserve Bank's interest rate decisions. The latest Roy Morgan estimates show mortgage stress unchanged in April, with an estimated 1.43 million Australians, or 26.5% of all Australians with a mortgage, at risk of mortgage stress. The Reserve Bank's decision to cut interest rates last week is set to reduce mortgage stress further in both May and June, as the interest rate cut is passed through the economy. The Reserve Bank's next interest rate meeting is in early July, and if the bank follows up with another cut in July, that would lead to a further reduction in mortgage stress. An interest rate cut of 1/4 point in July would reduce rates to 3.6%, the lowest interest rate level since March 2023. And this would reduce mortgage stress to 24.7% of mortgage holders in July, or around 1,330,000 people. Around 100,000 fewer people would be in mortgage stress than there are now. This would be the lowest level of mortgage stress for well over 2 years since February 2023. Thanks for your interest in Roy Morgan's latest results. Roy Morgan CEO Michelle Levine will be back next week to bring you the latest results for consumer confidence and inflation expectations, and the first Roy Morgan polling on the re-elected Albanese government. Subscribe free to our Roy Morgan YouTube channel for all the latest political, economic and market research data and insights. Thank you.